to our final edition of Pigskin Preview for the 2012 season. And David, first of all, let's start off with the big one. Loganville Christian Loganville Christian Academy plays for a state championship on Saturday night. They got to go down to Conyers to do it, but I guess that won't matter.
Yeah, I think they're just excited they'll play anywhere. I know Coach King said he'd line it up on Highway 81 and let them strap it up and play. He doesn't really care. He's just excited to be there. This is great for this program. 10-0 last game in the Independent Christian Schools of Georgia and Alabama league that they've been playing in for several years now. Next year they're going Georgia Independent School, so they'll be moving to that. So this will be a nice way to leave. They'll clearly be favored in this. They've beaten this team, I think, by 20 points earlier in the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a great thing for them, and so hopefully they can come out and finish up and get them a state championship and then move on.
They're going to play over Young American Christian Academy in Conyers, and game time is 6 o'clock, by the way. 6, not 6, or rather not 7 or 7:30, but 6 o'clock. And we understand there's some difference of opinion as to the condition of that field. I know in GHSA you got to be able to seat so many, and evidently that's not the case in the ICSGA.
No, apparently not. There's no rules as far as the amount of seating you're required to have for the playoffs or state championship, and apparently there's been some controversy over they're wanting a neutral field, obviously, and they wanted a central location, so I guess they picked Conyers. But the field there apparently is just kind of like a wrecked field with a couple of goalposts nailed into the or driven into the ground. Not a lot of seating, so that's kind of a shame. There's all kind of places they could play around here. They could play at George Walton. They could play at Loganville. There's a ton of places. Wish they'd have picked for these kids to be able to have a chance to play at a big stadium and go out with a state championship at a better place. But again, I don't think Coach King. I think they're just excited they'll play anywhere and hopefully take home a big trophy.
All right, congratulations to the Lions on a 10-0 season to this point, and we feel confident they'll wrap it up on Saturday night. Again, kickoff 6 o'clock over at Yaks. I always like seeing Yaks, Young American Christian School. All right, Monroe area. I was there Friday night, and I'm still shaking my head. I don't know what happened, but the Monroe area, of course, did not get a perfect season, but they are the region champions. They go into the playoff as the #1 seed, and they play on Friday night.
Yeah, and so, yeah, not the way you want to end the season. And frankly, I have a hard time believing Eastside's 35 points better than Monroe. I have a hard time believing anybody could shut out Monroe. That's kind of a shocker. So, yeah, this is going to be kind of different. It's been the first time in 12 regular season games they're going into a game to the next week off a loss. They're just really not used to that. But as Coach Flick told me, he goes, we've been preaching all year, whether it's wins or losses, you have to have a short memory. You put it behind you, you look ahead, and clearly they're going to have to do that this week. Shaw comes in as a 4 seed out of Region 5. But they're a solid team. They played a really tough region up there with Sandy Creek, Carrollton, LaGrange, a lot of tough teams in that league. And they came out 4th. They're on a 3-game winning streak. They're on the verge of, they had 3 do-or-die games there down the stretch where if they lost, they're out of the playoffs. So they won 3 straight, and they're really on a roll. Got a great quarterback whose name I couldn't begin to pronounce, Chandler Whitsley. I can't pronounce it, but he's a great quarterback. He's thrown for in those 3 games for like 600 yards, 7 touchdowns. So he's on a roll. Shaw's on a roll. So despite the fact that Monroe's a top seed and they're a 4, this should be really a big challenge for the Hurricanes.
And just because it's a 1 and a 4, it can happen. We saw it happen in Loganville, 3 or 4 years ago. They hosted a #4 seed and got beat at their home place. So we're going to need some support out there on Friday night kickoff at 7:30 against Shaw. All right, George Walton is in the playoffs. What seed are they?
Well, nobody really knows right now. This is the first year in Class A. Of course, they've separated the public and private schools. So now you have a 16-team bracket for public, 16-team for private, and they have, instead of the top 4 seeds from each region moving on, and right after you played your last game where you're going. Now they have this this computerized matrix where they go through and consider the teams you played, your record, strength of schedule. So they're having to go through and do the math, and it won't be until Wednesday before they finally pull everything together and decide. It's not so much what seeds are coming out of your. I mean, they finished second in 8A, but which normally would give them a home game. But they're probably not going to finish. They're probably going to finish in the bottom 8, I would think, once they do the math. And so my guess is George Walton's going to end up on the road in the first round against, at this point, who knows who. So.
And they're going to put that one off a week so they can all end up at the Dome the same Saturday,
right, exactly,
or Friday.
Right. So they'll be starting with a 16-team field instead of a 32. So the state champ and that'll only have to play 4 games instead of the usual 5. So yeah, they'll take this week off and give them an extra week to prepare.
All right, so those are the 3 teams that are going to be in the playoffs: Monroe area, George Walton Academy, Loganville Christian Academy. Good luck to them. Some other ones didn't make it, but they had some good points all throughout the season.
Yeah, I think Loganville, again, like I've said all year, to me they were the biggest disappointment. Really expected a little bit more out of them, maybe even challenge for a playoff spot, even if they, it would have been tough for them to make it in that league, but you expected a little more out of them, but they did managed to pull off that huge win against Gainesville. That kind of made their season. Then they finished with on the 2-game winning streak there at the end. So they finished up nicely. Showed some good things. They'll have their quarterbacks coming back for next year. Have a lot of people coming back. So hopefully they can take that the way they ended it, take some momentum into the off season, and turn things around next year.
So congratulations to Coach Eric Godfrey and his staff and the players for not packing it in. They won 2 very important or they're impressive ball games. They weren't important as far as the standings, but finished up the season with 2 wins. That'll go into next year as some positive momentum. All right. Also, Social Circle went winless on the year, and the only place for them was up.
Yeah. And again, I was kind of surprised at that. I didn't necessarily expect them to be challenging for region or state necessarily, but you would hope that with the change of coaching and coaching staff and bringing a whole new philosophy in there that they would have turned things around. Unfortunately, more of the same. Really wasn't a whole lot different than the year before, so that's kind of concerning. But give Coach Seaper a year to get the off-season program going, maybe get some numbers up. That's the big thing. They've really got to recruit some players from the hallways and get some numbers in there, and they'll have a chance to turn things around.
All right, Walnut Grove, not the year that O.J. Soto wanted to have with the 1 win, but they're still young, and that's still a program on the rise, and that's the classification. You got to get in the weight room and make people stronger if you're going to get better.
Yeah, and that was, this year, to be honest with you, it was somewhat of a step back. To win just that 1 game, there were a few games in there that they probably should have won. Particularly one earlier where they were taking an 11-point lead in the 4th quarter and didn't pull it out. So I'm sure they're disappointed over there. But again, like you said, they've just got to get in the off season and get in the weight room and try to get better and hope for better things next year.
All right, I think we've covered everybody. We'll have to just come back and do this thing again, because we do that about every other week or so. But again, congratulations to everybody who had their football highlights this year. There were some exciting times during the year. Monroe area, of course, had the biggest with a 9-1 record. But next year's a new year. I know everybody's going to be working hard in the off season.
Oh yeah, and the thing about Monroe is they've had this big year. They're pretty young. All of their big skill guys are coming back. You look down their rosters, an awful lot of juniors on there. So as good as this year's been so far, who knows? Next year could be even better.
All right, and I know the big question that all Monroe area fans are asking is Stanton Truitt going to be ready to play on Friday night? He's going to be cleared to play, I tell you that. Whether he's 100% or not, we don't know. Whether he's going to play a whole lot, we don't know, but he at least will be dressed out for the first time. So that can only be a plus for Monroe area, and that'll put his understudy that's played so well in the last couple of games, Gallup, at a wide receiver spot. That helps him too.
Yeah, that'll be nice I mean, it's just another weapon, and hopefully Stanton can knock off the rust. He is going to be rusty. He hasn't played in a month. But again, you put an athlete like that in there, another weapon, put Michael back out where he's a little more comfortable probably, and that can only help him.
All right, again, we're not saying how much he's going to play. We don't know that, but he'll be dressed out. Let's hope he's able to play. That's going to wrap it up for this season. Hope you enjoyed the Pigskin preview. We'll see you next time.